Shalom. We'll see if my black cat gets. Already, she's messing with my darkest arts live stream. I bought bitter apple. It's not doing its job. Um, the darkest arts. So, as Gartham put it, Avada Kedavra, and he who must be not be named from the Harry Potter series uses that, uh, and believe it or not, there is a theory that the word comes from the Aramaic Avada Kedavra, meaning it shall be as I have spoken, or as these words. That is actually what Avada Kedavra means, and apparently, um, I create as I speak. I don't know if that's. I've seen various, but so the darkest arts. I thought about starting with Kamsa and Bar Kamsa, which on Tisha B'Av, the day, which is the day of Jewish mourning in our calendar. One of the stories we read is about people being embarrassed and reputation destruction and the destruction of the temple. And there's a reason why in our mythology we say that the darkest arts are in fact when you kill someone with your words. And in church and in synagogue, and I mean, if you ever want to see how exact Jewish law can be, the Chafetz Chaim is one of the greatest, most prominent rabbis in Orthodox Judaism. He died. There's one video of him from during his life. So he died not that long ago. I think like 60 years ago. I forget exactly when the Chafetz Chaim passed away. But he is called the Chafetz Chaim after the name of his most famous book, which means he who desires a life. Because in Psalms, there is a verse, I believe it's from Psalms. Mi ha'ish hafetz chaim, who is the man who desires life? Netzor lashancha mira, the one who keeps his tongue from evil. Reputation, Psalm 34, Rabbi Amolet says. Hello, Grim.
Hello, I see the assassins have failed.
May they ever do so. Did I do that correctly?
Close enough. Close enough. This is may they continue. I saw you were practicing the darkest arts over here, so I thought I'd jump on and give some people bonus saves.
Please do. I was about to talk about you.
Remember to choose between survival, social, wisdom, or heart against this Jewish mind control from Jacob Federacci himself. Jews! Survivalists with an 8.
Okay.
Socialists coming in strong with a 19.
Oh, okay.
The lighting part is hard, y'all. Sorry. The lovers of wisdom. That's a 15 for you.
Okay.
Hard folks also. Wait, nope. That's a 6. That's a 6. You're gonna need some bonuses. And Indigo Kids, deuce. Deuce is for you. So good luck.
Wow.
I'm gonna be in the chat. I'll be in the chat. But
Okay. I am not sure who sent me that ranting email, but I'm not sure I got it. I hope you sent it to the correct place. Did you send it? Where is? Oh, that. Oh, I see. Okay. Don't worry about it. And I should check my work email more often. Okay. I should. Okay. I will remember to do that later. So back to the darkest arts. Grizz's channel just hit 1,000, and he got his second strike, terms of service strike, which means somebody is hate watching his streams and reporting them. What I am afraid of is going to happen to this community is what happens to every community that of its type, which is that the darkest arts, which many snakes in this garden for sure. So let's be honest with each other, because truth will set you free. And the best way to stop reputation destruction and the snakes in the garden is through honest conversation and discussion, which stops the reputation destruction. And it's so relational aggression is real. Relational aggression is very real. And there's a reason why our mythology talks about it so much. It's really easy to destroy people by cutting them down in front of others. One person I've been talking to about this said he really loves the end of War Games, that movie. Hopefully you've all seen that clip where it says, this is a strange game. The only way to win is not to play. And a lot of people refuse to play in the drama, refuse to, okay, let's, the easiest thing to do is withdraw. And sometimes that's what you have to do, is to withdraw. And I don't blame anybody for withdrawing. I literally mentioned that line to my cousin 20 minutes ago. Lots of people do. I always act as honestly as possible, but truth can get very muddied. This is very true, especially when you look at a community like ours, because our community is filled with broken people. I have news for you. All communities are filled with broken people, but especially our community is filled with broken people because we are a group of people who are here mostly because we need this form of engagement online, because in our real lives, for any of many reasons, we don't have the type of um, the association that healthy people have in their real lives. How you doing, Chad?
Good morning. Evening.
Good morning.
Good evening. Yes.
It is 9:30 here.
Yes. 11:30 here.
Um,
Got the hiccups. What's going on?
There's snakes in the garden. And Andre, please don't feel like I'm talking about you. I'm not. But part of the problem here is that people are, there's a lot of drama behind the scenes that isn't getting cleared up. And so people are drawing all kinds of lines and getting angry with each other silently. And people who thrive on this type of drama and conflict are using it to make things worse. So, for example, somebody has been reporting Grimm's live streams to YouTube, and he's gotten 2 strikes now on his channel. Third strike, and it gets deleted.
Fucking assholes.
I agree with you. But reputation destruction and Grizz says, we have no proof of that accusation, but it's awfully sus. Look, this is this is why we're talking about the dark arts, right?
Mm-hmm.
The people who are actually talking about it are quite likely not the people. This is why on the internet it's so easy to play these games, much easier than it is to defend against them in real life, because there are computers involved and there are people behind these names and these some of the things we've done to try to keep this community healthy is use real names. That helps. I have highly recommended to people to have cliques and to talk to each other. I think that's incredibly important. I have been visiting people in real life, making real life connection. I have been talking to people that it's easier not to talk to. And some people know that. Sometimes it's easier just to leave and not get involved in emotional drama. And frankly, part of the problem is that psychologically healthy people have a much easier time detaching from a community like ours, especially when there's drama like this and when somebody is making drama like this for them. Look, I'll be honest. I have I have considered withdrawing several times. And maybe it would be healthier for me.
Yeah, but good luck. Good luck doing that. I've tried too. I've considered. I've tried.
Well, I mean, Chad, honestly, now that COVID's less of a problem, I can go back to hanging around with my in real life friends. I have them, believe it or not.
Right. But there is something different. There's a different kind of allure, a pull.
Hmm?
pull.
Oh, I love this community, and I love what this community can become. I believe this community, if we can withstand this in ways that many other communities that have tried the same thing have not been able to. And there have been many similar communities that I have seen sabotaged. Hey, Andre.
Hey,
Andre, I don't know why our signals got crossed. I haven't read your email. This is not about you. Nobody's making accusations about you.
no, that's not what I'm bringing up. Like my email, it was a bit ranty last night.
Oh, don't
It was
worry
a
about it.
little manic,
Yeah.
but like
Okay.
there were valid points there. Like you're saying about Grimm's channel has strikes. Like he hacked my phone and leaked 3 months worth of private data
Andre,
information.
I don't want to deal with this right now. We can talk about it another time.
It's been everything like that has been said in the live streams in like the last week. I know he's been bragging about it on stream.
Andre, we'll have to talk some other time, okay? I'm sorry about that. And Mark says, nice, good to see you, Andre. Hope you are well. So putting all of that aside, please. This is an important community that can do a lot of good for a lot of people.
Well, I'm interested in. Here's a question. I can't stay long because I gotta go to bed. I got to go to church in the morning. I'm just wondering how much each of us has contributed to the problem, in ways that are maybe it's difficult for us to notice. It's things within ourselves that have made things unattractive, or so that's something to consider.
It is something to consider, Chad. And yeah, but you know what?
It's just I'm primarily speaking about some of the excessive catastrophizing and drama, and I know it's because we have worries and things, but then they become broadcast, and then it becomes this.
Chad, how do you know that it's excessive catastrophizing and drama?
I don't. I said maybe.
Yeah, I understand that, but the only way we can actually deal with whether it is excessive catastrophizing or not is to actually talk about it.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're community members, and frankly, I would love for us to be talking to each other. One of the things I keep on telling people, please talk to people offline as much as, if not more than, you do in front of an audience.
Yeah.
Please talk to people individually as individuals. And I try to do that. If I am online here, I try to at least be spending as much time as I do online here talking to the people that I talk to online here offline.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree.
Because look, our relationships, yes, we have a community, but a community has to be relationships with individuals. And one of the things Paul Vanderklay said he uses in his church is he it used to be that they would have church meetings and everybody was facing front, and he put all the chairs in circles, and he said, how about we discuss whatever we're going to discuss in these little groups with each other, facing each other, and then the group brings it up. And that type of little cliques, having little cliques which actually talk to each other, you're just talking about right now. Start talking about it. Well, yeah, I'm talking about how we don't let relational aggression is real, and in our community we're particularly vulnerable to it. And if you care about this community, then one of the ways you have to prevent relational aggression is to actually care enough to realize that you have something valuable here worthy of being defended.
Yeah. Well, it's good to see you. I gotta get some sleep. I'm really tired. We were just watching a television show, and I saw you were doing some dark art stuff. I think it's an interesting topic. Good night, everybody.
Good night, Chad. Familiarity breeds contempt, unfortunately, Sherry says. That's part of the problem. Part of the problem is it's really easy on the internet to say, this isn't worth it, I'm just going to move on. And lots of people do. Relational aggression is when you use reputation destruction, rumors, good night, Chad, all kinds of, rumors and reputation destruction in order to ruin other people. And men often are very blind to this, whereas women often recognize and get involved with relational aggression. But I think part of the problem is the lack of femininity we have. Okay, so Mark, you and Tyler need to talk, and this needs to be hammered out, because Tyler has been a member of this community for several years, and there are people who have problems with him, and you are an important member of this community. You will continue to be an important member of this community. I've talked to Tyler. I'm asking a question. Was that an example or not? So I actually went back and watched the stream. Tyler did not bring you up. He responded to your comment with what I thought was a okay thing for him to say. And then Sam asked him a question about you, which made you the topic of conversation. And I don't think Sam meant anything bad by it. If Tyler really is as manipulative as some people would like to think that he is, then yeah, I guess he could have prompted that discussion by taking notice of your comment. At the same time, it's so okay, that's another thing. So Sam is a very important part of this community who has some criticisms of you. And this is part of our community trying to, a bunch of people told me he was savaging my reputation. Okay, so Sam is a dear friend of mine who I trust explicitly and implicitly. I don't think Sam had any intention to savage your reputation at all. I think what he said was, in fact, quite critical. But Mark, he's not the first person to be critical of you in this corner. You're a tough pill to swallow, as am I. People should use nicknames. There's too many of the same name. I don't think so. I think hopefully, if we're not clear who we're talking about, then maybe we need to break down into smaller groups and discuss this. I have to say, even though I am streaming this, I would have much preferred to have these discussions one-on-one or in small groups with people. And I highly, highly recommend that people do have these discussions in small groups, that we start using the Discord chats again for small private groups. I look forward to seeing many, many of you at Chino, and hopefully we can discuss these things and come back stronger. But what I am seeing in the background in terms of the social conflict that's going on, and we have several members of our community, dear members of our community that I care a lot about, who have emotional difficulties. And so if we're going to weather this, some of you have some idea about the people I'm talking about, and some of you have no clue who I am talking about. This community is growing very large, to the point where I can't even remember exactly who I had discussions with. I am spending time with people, which I love to do. I absolutely love to spend time with all of you people. But I'm not kidding when I say I spend more time talking to people offline than I do on here. And I spend a lot of time in the Just Chatting streams, and part of my hope of the Just Chatting channel becoming 24/7 is more people stepping up and actually feeling a responsibility for their small group. If my channel never reaches 1,000, I don't care. I'm not looking for monetization of this channel. There is no way YouTube will ever pay me. There's no way that YouTube will ever pay me hourly rate for the work that I'm putting in here. Hello, Nathaniel.
Hey,
How
I'm
you
about
doing?
to get close. I'm about to get close to church. I know this is like a faux pas to do this while driving.
And you are Eastern Orthodox, and tomorrow is Easter, and I
Tonight
don't.
is, and
Well,
I'm talking, and I need to say something to clear my conscience.
I knew you. That's what you wanted to do, and you don't need to do that, Nathaniel.
Well,
I would rather you didn't, Nathaniel.
So here's me trying
Nathan,
to talk about
stop.
what's going on.
No, stop.
What I want to
Nathaniel?
say is I might have caused some confusion.
No, that's Nathaniel. It's not about you. Okay, I will go to church. And this is partially what I'm talking about. I thought he would come on. I love Andre. I love Nathaniel. This is not about you two individually, please. This is about a broader community. And there are several other people who could be thinking that I'm talking about them. And to some extent I am, and to some extent I'm not. I should take myself off and I'm gonna let you guys watch me cry. We are a community of people with lots of problems who are helping each other, which is beautiful. Don't let this fall apart. It's like Harry Potter. You want defense of the dark arts? Try some love magic. And don't have love. Be loving. Make a small group of people and be kind to them despite all of their imperfections and problems. And what's that joke? If you ever find a perfect church, don't join it because you'll ruin it. CW says, hold the cat immediately. CW, jump on the stream. Come on, get on the stream. I'm not going to excuse you. You should be getting on this stream. Um, okay, I'm kind of glad you guys are having a nice chat, but um, yes, he's right. Fraud, you could jump on too. Hello, Grim.
I need to know what you're crying about that's not my channel getting its second strike.
There are several people here who have emotional needs even stronger than mine. And this community provides, at least for my emotional needs, and for a lot of their emotional needs.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be really bad if this community was sabotaged and destroyed.
Okay, but aside from my channel getting strikes, what evidence of sabotage and destruction are causing you to weep?
There's
And is it just me or you got Teo running around half naked on your channel?
that happens every once in a while, yeah.
Not good for views? Yeah.
I I
Continue. Sorry, go
actually,
ahead.
since my channel has moved on, like most of the stuff has moved on to Randos United, I don't actually get to see much of the statistics. My
I try
channel
to watch on Randos rather than yours because we're solid.
I try to tell people to watch on Randos and not on mine.
I mean, if I wanted to watch some Hebrew Bible stuff, I'll come watch it on yours and not Randos. But
well, I don't broadcast the Hebrew Bible stuff on Randos.
I didn't mean to distract you. We were talking about you crying about my community strike and sabotage.
I thought you were actually trying to distract me. I thought you were being nice and here to help me with my.
No, I was just scarred by seeing Teo's half-naked body, and it flashed in my mind when I was looking at you for some reason. And that distracted me, and so it was an accidental tangent.
I see.
Go ahead, bring Andre on because I have no idea what the hell he's talking about, and he's saying why I did what I did. So let's play.
Okay. So no, because Andre is having a difficult time right now, and I don't think this is really good for Andre.
Well, if he accused me of hacking a phone, I don't know. I'm not that tech savvy. Sorry.
I am sure you are not that tech savvy, and Andre, as much as I care about you, I think that you might not be thinking 100% as well as you would if you were in a less challenging emotional state. And if you and Graham want to talk that offline, that's great. I don't think it would be a healthy thing for anybody for Andre to come on to the channel right now.
That's probably accurate. And I since I don't think I did what you want explained, I won't be able to explain it. You'll get a denial and confusion because I won't know what you're talking about.
Well, this is part of the fact that this community has members who we love, who may at times do things that they regret later, or may not 100% be culpable for.
Okay, but all right, look at it this way. Every human is a mana card, right? And right now, all our mana cards are hanging out on this YouTube attention farm.
Mhm.
And that's fine. But I'm going to get swatted if things don't change as far as the way censorship is going.
Yeah,
So
that's
whether or not I've been specifically reported or not, in this particular instance, when I submit for the monetization review, they'll kill the channel for what's in private if I
it's
don't pull it
possible.
first. So
Yeah, no, and
Um,
that's the thing. That's part of the reason why I wanted there to be Randos United. Raj,
da, 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 da. I got a pitch coming for you, Raj. I haven't figured
we,
out who the other people are yet, but
we
you,
needed
Leslie,
we needed a pure warrior, a Khalistani warrior to
Let
join
me turn
us.
on this other light. Yeah, so Graham, you don't think you'd be long for the YouTube world if you're going towards monetization?
He has 2 strikes already.
I mean-
Third strike and his channel gets deleted.
Right. So my question is like how sustainable is a community like this using YouTube?
It's not.
So is there a place? So have you heard of PeerTube?
So I am currently so one of the reasons
Sure.
one of the reasons I wanted to create Randos United, and one of the reasons for StreamYard is StreamYard, for example, right now is streaming to multiple places,
Right.
including it's on my Twitter and including it's on Twitch, and it could stream to other places as well. And as long as we have a strong community, we don't have to necessarily. So this is what Sargon of Akkad did with his channel and the Lotus Eaters, and this is what Daily Wire has kind of tried to do. And I mean, these are problems that over the past 6 years I have seen multiple times in multiple communities. So hopefully we're gaining some experience and building something that has some capacity to withstand all the pressures we have to deal with.
Right.
And
Yeah,
Mark is 100% correct. YouTube monetization is not enough money to care about until you get a lot more than 2,000 subs.
However, the
But
reason someone like me would want to have 1,000 subs is because super chats get enabled, the
Oh.
merch store gets enabled. Yeah.
I thought you were going to give the good reasons.
No. But like it's a matter of like leveling up in a video game. It's like right now I'm a level 2 scrub channel, and until I hit over 1,000, I'm not even a real channel.
Well,
And
that's
there's a lot
the
of powers and
algorithm.
features that
Yes.
I could incorporate into the show that I can't use yet.
Well, the algorithm, that's where the audience is. There are definitely advantages to using YouTube. YouTube is a social media type platform. I mean, we could be broadcasting on Rumble right now, but Rumble sucks.
We'll see.
I tried.
apparently.
I tried broadcasting
Bullshit.
to Rumble. Twitch might be a little bit better than this, but when it comes down to it, in fact, I think if we are switching, Twitch might be the place to go.
No,
But-
I don't. It's all mission work, bro.
What does that mean?
Like this flotilla of
Mhm.
like each channel is a ship, but the ship can surface on any platform. And all the ships don't have to surface on the same platform.
They don't, but you know what?
So long as Vanderclay doesn't go down, we can always come back around. We can be
It-
the heroes who left to the other platforms and come back with man. You know?
I don't think you're I have heard you give this spiel before and I disagree with it. I can explain if you like. Again,
You see, you go ahead. Go ahead.
so this is
Unless
the
we're gonna
whole
let Sherry talk, for
conversation
God's sake.
we had over why I thought, and we should let Sherry talk. In fact, Sherry, are you there?
I'm here. I'm here.
Yes.
Sherry, you talk.
I can't turn my camera on. I'm here for I'm an emotional support animal tonight, and
Good. Because this
And-
man is crying because my channel got a strike and
Well,
he needs your help.
If
And I'm
you're
also-
paying
I'm also
very
representing-
close attention, you will see the shadow of death in her valley.
Yeah, Sylvia's in hers too.
Is she sleeping? I don't think she's sleeping. No, she's not. It's funny, when
Yeah,
I was
and
doing my
I thought
homework, she was like
I jumped
bothering
in-
me constantly.
Oh, sorry about that.
What was that, Sherry?
I said I thought I'd jump in as there was a shout out for some of the feminines, so I thought I'd.
There was, yes. I don't know if you saw at the very beginning, I was like, Sherry, I would love for you to have on, because women understand relational aggression much better than men do.
Yeah, they sure do.
Sexist. So sexist.
Women are
Actually,
really good at it.
physiologically,
Actually.
physiologically, the female brain, especially after pregnancy, is wired for relational aggression in ways that male brains are not. I mean, physically wired for relational aggression in ways that male brains are not.
See, this sort of talk isn't stricken from YouTube. This biological, harmful, wrong think.
I wouldn't be surprised if it eventually was.
Yeah. Yeah. Just don't.
All right,
That's
Sherry.
that's the thing. It is our community that matters. It is our relationships with each other that cannot be. There's a reason why all of you except Sherry, Grim, and Raj, why I have actually eaten a meal in your presence. Because we're real human beings who know each other, hopefully, well enough that this craziness goes, like, the craziness of the internet will not destroy our relationships regardless of what YouTube says. Or Discord. And I have to say, Discord, if you do not think that Discord is going to change dramatically after what happened on Friday, on Thursday, you are just plain wrong.
Anyway, Sherry, what do
Yeah.
you think?
I don't know. You know, I listen into a lot of the Just Chattings with a very very male presence, and I'm always reminded of Proverbs 31. Maybe
אשת
Jake-
חיל מי ימצא ורחוק מפנינים מכרה בטח בלב בעלה ושלל לא יחסר. גמלת הוא טוב ולא רע כל ימי חייה דרשה צמר ופשתים וטס בחפץ כפיה. הייתה כאוניית סוחר ממרחק תביא לחמה ותקום בעוד לילה ותיתן טרף לביתה וחוקנתיה זמה שדה ותיקחהו מפרי ידיה נטע כרם חגרה בעוז מדניה ותמות זרעתיה תמה כי טוב סחרה ולא יכבה בלילה נרה.
We're all just supposed to assume that Psalm
I
31.
know the rest of it. Hold on, which verse did I just read? Tama.
Not a clue.
He read it out of it like Prince in the theater of his mind, like on a movie theater
It's an
subtitle.
acrostic. I think I
Oh.
just did the ninth one. Tama Kitov Sakra Velo. I have it memorized. Yes, not in English.
Graham, I was
Would you
disappointed
like
you
me
weren't
to
singing
translate
along.
it? What?
I was disappointed Grim wasn't singing along. He's always singing along. to everything.
It's you sing it
Language
on
barrier.
Friday nights. You sing it on Friday nights to the Sabbath Queen and to your wife.
Sabbath Queen. Whoa, secret Jew stuff. There's a Sabbath Queen. What? What? Okay, but why do you think it's Psalm 31, Sherry? Because that's what he's derailed you from.
Yeah, yeah.
Not Psalm 31.
Not Psalm? What was
Proverbs,
it?
Proverbs. 31.
Proverbs. Proverb.
Maybe Jacob can pull it up for me because I can't.
I
think of the-
can. Yes, I can.
But there's a verse in there about, it's about the godly woman, and there's a verse.
I
in
have
there
it memorized. Like what?
We know
which
you haven't.
verse do
Look
you
it
want?
up. Sherry's talking. Look it up. Sherry's talking.
See, this is what I mean. What I've been trying to say is that while she's doing all the hard grunt work, the guys are all sitting at the gates.
Beshivtovik. Yeah, her husband is respected at the gates when he takes his seat among the elders of the land. Yeah,
There you go.
Yeah.
See.
yeah.
Okay, how does that
I
relate
always-
to
I
the
always wondered why
conversation,
people-
though?
I always wondered why people were so quick to talk about gossipy
Oh.
women.
I had it on. Sorry. Yeah. Well, actually, the reason why that verse is there is, in fact, Noda Basharim Bala Beshivtoim Zikne Aretz, is that, so it says he is known, right? And
Yeah.
that is her praise because the women are the ones who take care of the reputations of their husbands.
Right.
Oh, that explains the status of my reputation quite nicely.
Yeah, because they're always telling them to shut up. That's why.
No, but
Sorry,
how does,
Charlie, you can't be the Sabbath Queen.
how does that tie into the situation at hand? I don't know. How do you work? How are you working the Bible into this here? What's the connection for me? I'm not making
No,
it.
I'm just seeing. I'm not seeing a lot of women on the internet gossiping, but I am seeing a lot of men on the internet gossiping.
Well,
Wow.
Sherry, I have to
When,
say that's because you don't see the women gossiping. There are
Oh,
definitely
sure.
women gossiping, and women know to do it in the
Hopefully.
background. But
Well, if they're gossiping, they're not gossiping to me, but that's okay. I don't mind because I don't gossip. So.
but Sherry, no, this is,
Eve.
honestly, this is an important part of it. There is I think that part of the problem is actually that. So when people ask me what I disagree with Jordan Peterson most about,
Whoa! No, sir. No, sir. I think that part of the problem is when people ask me don't jump to what when people ask you what you think the problem is.
I am going to tell you what I
I
disagree
don't need
with
to
Jordan
go-
Peterson about.
That
This
wasn't
is
the
my
problem.
channel. I get to speak as I like. So
I'm
he
on Randos
says-
United, not your channel, pal.
He says we have, well, this is my stream. He says we have he says we have a deficit, we have too much femininity. And the fact is, I think we have a deficit of femininity because for a good 50, 60 years, we've told women that the work that women have done in our society for thousands of years is not important. And that work includes having cocktail parties. there is social relationship building exercises that women have done in communities for thousands of years. They have been responsible for that. And the most capable women would do that by being socialites. And we don't have enough women throwing cocktail parties.
I guess your Discord's not as hopping as mine. To address Sherry's concern, there's an interesting angle to it for me, because I see this as part of, it's sort of like you pay homage to the form to make it more accessible. And
What do you mean? What
Yeah.
form?
What do you mean?
in this case, the form is sort of an ensemble drama. Like, rather than watching, like, everybody's watching season 3 of This Little Corner, except it's not extracted and packaged out into a nice bingeable thing on Netflix. It's happening live and you can participate and chat along. And I think that explains why you're seeing the people talking about people and the men having to try and navigate the relationships and the characters and identities with each other on a stream. Is
Even though it's on screens, I don't think it's a season. I think it's more like a chapter. So we're somewhere like in chapter 3 rather than season 3, because there's I mean, I wasn't privy to a lot of things happening in season 1 and 2, although I've kind of been around in an oblique way. But there's more development happening. It's not, because with TV shows and seasons, you have to have certain things like an antagonist and all these and certain kinds of conflicts every season. Whereas in a novel, that sort of thing develops over the course of several chapters, right? Like the crisis isn't gonna, in a season, you have a crisis every season.
Okay, wait, here we go, Raj. What about the idea of iron sharpening iron?
Mm-hmm.
Don't you guys see that as
Yeah.
Part of the process? Like you can't have a conflict-free relationship with someone that's so boring.
Component processing, right?
Yeah, like there's something to the whole iron sharpening iron thing, I think.
Yeah, that's like in
Definitely.
the stream where there's the gossiping and the man there says, if this is what y'all are if we're gonna talk about people instead of ideas, I gotta go. And then that would be the ironing, sharpening iron, right?
Sure, like, my mother used to say, if you act like a 2-year-old, then I'll treat you like one, right? So, and I think that's where the feminine is the most useful, to be honest with you, because they're good for doing that.
It's like, bring in the ladies so we can figure out the emotional maturity of everybody else in the room.
Well, not necessarily, but sometimes you just need to. Well, I'll just just tell people. You just need to tell some people just need to grow up. Honestly,
that's what we're working on.
Good.
We got a lot of Peter.
No fun.
There's a lot of Peter Pans.
Yeah, there you go.
And I'm gonna go find Captain Hook. Good night, show.
I think that there's also Paul's been talking a little bit about the importance of gossip, and
the importance.
I think that there's the importance of it and how it kind of has this almost hygienic quality for a community.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that there's a real distinction that needs to be drawn between gossip and then something like backbiting or slander.
Yeah.
Because in Guru Granth Sahib, the words that are like, there's always, you don't want to participate in Nindya or Jubilee, and these are backbiting and slander. These are the things that destroy community, not necessarily gossip. Gossip is much more, I think, there's a kind of a frivolity to gossip, at least in my mind.
Well, so like I started, that there is a book that a rabbi wrote that's very, very popular in Orthodox circles, which is the laws of gossip, right? And like this is, they've turned it into like a 365-day calendar where you know, because it's that thick, right? And frankly, I think it's an incredibly important thing, partially because without all of that legalistic detail, it becomes really easy to think that the answer is silence.
The answer
And
is silence. Like the answer to the problem of gossip is silence.
yes, yeah,
Oh.
it's just not to speak, not to get involved, to withdraw. And
Yeah, but that's bad. That's destruction.
it is destructive. That's the thing. It is very destructive.
Yeah. Because that's the end of dialogos, right? That's the end of this. There's no community if you're not talking.
And you have to talk about people because that's how we speak. I mean, that's what the point of saints is. And that's the status hierarchy and having hierarchy, right? It's important. And so part of the essential problem that we're trying to deal with in this corner is that of status hierarchies. We need to create status hierarchies, and we need to elevate the deserving people, and we need to cut down the people who are threats to our society.
Well,
Yes, Caleb, be slow to speak is good, but if you never speak, if you're paralyzed in your analysis, go ahead, Sharon.
Well, I don't know. What you just said is, I mean, that can be so misinterpreted that it could be quite dangerous. Actually, I know what you're saying, but I don't know what anybody else who's listening to that thinks when they hear it. That's the problem for me.
It is a
anyway.
little bristly, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, and personally, I think gossip, even gossip, the way I perceive gossip is that it's very closely associated to some kind of self-elevation. And I don't think that there's ever a good reason to elevate oneself, to be honest with you.
So, well, let me answer Grimm's question. He says social shunning is all that need to be done to the bad actors, n'est-ce pas? And my question becomes, okay, how do you identify the bad actors?
Well, yeah, that's the problem with all of this, is that somebody has to be the arbiter of good and evil, and I don't think any of us can do that, to be honest. God is always the judge.
Well, okay, so I am going to go on one of my monologues. I hope you don't mind too much. But it says in the Bible that Moses, when he encountered the taskmaster beating the slave, he looked this way and that way, and seeing that there was no man, he struck the taskmaster. And we spoke about this with Raj because there's a famous saying based on this in the Mishnah, which is, in a place where there are no men, try to be a man.
Yeah.
And it says try to be a man, which I think is part of the wisdom there. And when I spoke to my rabbi recently, he told me a Yiddish version of this, which is, in a place where there are no men, and this rhymes in Hebrew, in Yiddish, a herring is also a type of fish, meaning, okay, there's no men and there's not even any fish, but you'll have to make some herring do. And this is the problem. Sometimes something needs to be done, and the last person who should be doing it is the person who's willing to volunteer. I think that's almost always the case with leadership. The people who want to lead should not be leaders. And I would say the same is true of warriors as well. The people who want to go out and kill are the last people you want as your warriors.
Right. I agree with that.
Okay, so who's gonna walk around killing people?
I hope nobody.
Well, sometimes there's a taskmaster that needs to be cut down. This is part of the reason why I keep on encouraging Raj to get involved in this low corner, is he can help set all you Christian silly people straight. Because what Sikhi is not is pacifist.
I'm not a pacifist either, just saying. But like I said before, I'm also not the arbiter of good and evil.
Yes, Caleb, the story is prescriptive, just like all the stories in the Bible are prescriptive. Moses is, in Judaism, the person who we try most to be like. That should not surprise Christians, and it amazes me that it does.
So, Sherry, I get that, like, we are not the arbiters of good and evil, but human beings still need their courts, and justice still needs to be administered. And we can take solace in the fact that we are not going to be able to deliver that perfect justice. And like that's where mercy comes in for the man who is a judge, or for the man who is I don't know, the police officer or whatever, right? It's like we may mess things up, and we aren't going to deliver perfect justice. And the fact that God's justice is perfect is not only a mercy for the people who are the victims of man's imperfect injustice, but it's also a mercy and a grace given to the men who are the dispensers of imperfect justice.
Well, more power to them. I wouldn't want to be that man.
Right, right.
And anyone
Yeah, it's
who
a
wants
burden.
to be that man shouldn't be.
Right. But it's a burden because it's like that's something that needs to be carried out. And that's the person like I think Mark was talking about this in his navigating patterns where he was talking about judgment. It's like that's why the leader is the one who's willing to fall on the sword and take the responsibility of screwing things up. But your leader is going to be your scapegoat.
And not only that, inaction is a decision, and you are responsible for every life you could have saved and you did not.
So how does this relate to this little corner of the internet, Jacob? That's what I'm wondering.
Well, I think that when you have
Jacob wants to set up a court.
a flock, when you have a flock like we do, there are people who have to recognize that they're the guard dogs, and that their job is to be shepherds, and their job is to protect the flock. It's not about you. It's about the flock. And what a lot of people have done in other communities, and what a lot of people feel that it would be easiest for them to do, is flee, is to not get involved, is to let Jesus take the wheel. And that just doesn't work, because there are bad people out there. And all that's necessary for evil to succeed is for good men to do nothing. Silence is not violence, but silence is silence. And this is the thing. There are people. So it really hit me when Dennis Prager said, I don't believe that any of the things that are happening right now could possibly be happening without some sort of supernatural evil. And I was talking to a close friend who's a psychiatrist, and he was telling me, and we were talking about parents who are psychiatrists who are transitioning their children, their own children. And the obvious signs that there's something going wrong here. And I mean, can we get any closer to Moloch today than people sacrificing their children on the altar of Moloch? Yep, the road to hell is also paved with good intentions. Not also. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. And that includes the good intentions of the people who refuse to stand up because they care more about saving their own souls than losing their head. Yes, that was a Raj allusion. Stetson, I don't believe I know you. Michael, you're Eastern Orthodox. And unlike Sherry, you are not many, many miles and a flight away from an Eastern Orthodox church.
It's true.
And so you have what, a 10-hour service tomorrow?
For us, we're starting at 6, and then we're moving on to this little pavilion where we're having lots of community stuff, and then we'll do our service out there. So it'll be good.
So at 6 a.m.,
Mhm.
which is in
Yes.
6 hours, you are
Like-
going to start your Pascha service, which will probably take you deep into the night.
Yes, sir. No, so we'll probably wrap in that afternoon, I think is the intent. And then some folks will thank you, Charlie. Candidly, I'm not exactly sure, but I know that by the afternoon I'll be tapping out.
Okay. So say your piece quickly before I kick you off like the other Eastern Orthodox people who should be in church.
Hey, usually they do this at midnight, so I would be there otherwise. Yeah, I was here to defend the manner in which Jesus might take the wheel, or that we might defend how Christ might guide us on something like correcting others, right? Or the theme right here in the last half
Or
hour.
calling out evil.
Yeah, that. I've spent a lot of time on that thought over the last year, and I am always drawn back to Galatians 6. So that
You said you were going to define Christ, and now you're defending Paul of Tarsus out of one of my favorite books. But go ahead.
well, I would say that he's trying to do that too.
I would disagree, but go ahead.
So what I think that he's getting at, which is what I'm also trying to get at, is the nature of Christ in that correction, right? Which also seems to be this balancing of the masculine and feminine is that the judge comes, right? And it separates wheat from chaff, but you have to be careful because there is an immediate temptation to fall prey to possibly the exact same thing that you're criticizing, or some kind of self-righteousness or otherwise. So Paul of Tarsus, I know your favorite person. Brethren, if a man is overtaken in any trespass, you who are spiritual restore one in a spirit of gentleness. Like you better be, right? He's kind of almost sarcastic about it. Considering yourself lest, right? So consider yourself low. Otherwise, you might, or consider yourself, or you might also be tempted. Bear one another's burdens, right? There's a challenge there in, you're like helping carrying their load. You can't just escape from this thing and run away, right? So when Jacob was like, "Oh, we run away and just let Jesus take the wheel," like, no, you're also carrying that load with them, right? Because you are loving your neighbor as yourself.
It's beyond that. It says in Leviticus, I believe, when you see the donkey of your enemy, right?
Yes, agreed.
You should not hide from it. You should in fact help him.
Yeah. I think that's part of the loving your enemies idea here. And so further, right, but bearing one another's burdens also fulfills the law of Christ, right? Is the way that Paul talks about it, right? It's kind of like the way. If anyone thinks himself to be something, when he is nothing, he deceives himself. But let each one examine his own work, rejoicing in himself alone one another. For each one shall bear his own load. There's a sense of humility that comes with that gentleness of correction, right? It's I have never seen calling out someone's hypocrisy change their hypocrisy, but sometimes if I'm able to talk about how I'm guilty of the same thing, it might bring it to the surface.
So the problem here, Michael, is you're more concerned about the wolf than the sheep.
What if everyone is a sheep?
But they're not. That's the point. And Jesus says that. Beware of the false prophet who comes as a ravening wolf in sheep's clothing.
Mm-hmm.
There are wolves out there.
I guess I would point at the wolf inside of me.
Michael, that's really cute. And I have to wonder if it's not cowardice.
I suppose so, and I think that's part of the separation of some.
If there's no place where you feel like I have to stand up and defend people, if that's never the answer, you don't have a religion, you have an ideology. Because you have a simple answer to everything. And that's where pacifism goes 100% wrong.
So, I teach at a jail, and I had a student tell me a story this past week where he had spent tens of thousands of dollars on a lawyer, and she had died in the middle of his trials while he was fighting his case, and he was out all of this money, and he actually found out in the courtroom that she had died. He didn't have any sort of, it wasn't news to him before he got into the courtroom because he was in jail, and then he showed up in the courtroom and they're like, oh, she's dead. And he said to the judge, what am I supposed to do? Like, how, like, what? Like, I sunk thousands of dollars into that woman. And the judge laughed at him and said, that's a civil case, and then gave him a public defender. And so it's like, there is still this, the point I'm trying to make is that we have to have a system of human justice, right? And it's a broken thing because we're all broken people. But we still have to try our best at administering justice, and we have to understand that we will not do it perfectly. But justice still needs to be done to the best of our ability, just like we love each other to the best of our ability, even though we will imperfectly love each other. And so at a certain point, when is our attempts at imperfectly loving impeding our ability to imperfectly do justice? Not that those things are necessarily opposed to each other, but when are we being so bad at loving that it's actually harming our ability to do justice?
And that really is part of the problem in our society today, is we have a culture of caring, which supposedly cares so much that we're letting children be sacrificed.
So when I talk about the judgment nature of Christ, this is what I'm pointing at, right? The separating of wheat from chaff. And Jacob, when you're like, okay, well, the standing up, saying something, or just being a pacifist, is it too much grace? Is it too much acceptance, too much mercy? Yeah, that can be a real problem. It's speaking truth to power, truth to evil.
Jesus didn't need to clear out the money changers from the temple. They just came back.
So the balance of truth and grace, right? Because it's easy to end up in a situation where you have too much of one or the other and create a different problem.
I mean, it's not like you're saying anything that like I haven't heard before. I don't agree with. I don't. The problem, Michael, is yes, I've heard all the verses for when we should be thinking about our own sins, and yes, I have every reason why I can just shut up and life would be so much easier on Team Winsome. It would.
Where are you getting this just shut up thing though? That's because that's the antithesis of what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I'm wondering that myself.
Mm,
Like, I think you're operating out of some kind of presupposition that most of Christian theology teaches you to be a doormat. I don't think that's the case.
I don't either.
And I think that all of these things need discernment, each and every one of them individually. Like, that's why we have a judge in a courtroom,
mhm.
because each thing has to be discerned for itself, right? You can't make any kind of broad sweeping, otherwise a lot of heads would be rolling, and that would just be it. And then you'd end up with this eye for an eye kind of justice.
Sherry,
right?
you're preaching to the choir, but
Yeah.
the fact is, right now we're talking about the problems of bad actors in our society, in our little community, and how we are going to deal with the fact that our community is being attacked.
Okay, I'm a little bit in the dark about all that. I don't know what's going on in the background because I don't really pay that much attention. But so, are you talking about Claire Kaw? Is that what you're talking about?
She's one of many problems we have. Grimm's channel has 2 strikes on it.
Yeah.
Third strike, his channel gets deleted.
Right.
There are tensions in our community that are being exacerbated by rumor mills that I am sure there are people who are on campaigns of personal destruction, and the only way I know of for that to be dissipated is for people who to have difficult conversations when they hear when somebody makes accusations, when somebody is, for people to have actual conversations and clearly identify, oh, I believe this is a manipulative person who is trying to manipulate our community, and allowing that person to actually understand those accusations. So, for example, Claire Kaw on Mark's channel, right? She came on Mark's stream, and anybody who's encountered Claire Kaw before should watch that stream where she was incredibly gracious, incredibly nice, and very, very carefully pumping Mark for information. She didn't say anything outrageous. She was, in fact, incredibly gracious, unlike how she usually is.
Right.
Because she's pumping him. She was obvious. I mean, if you watch it for that, you will see she's trying to get information.
Yeah.
There are people who engage in relational aggression, and they are present in our community.
Yeah.
What do you think it takes to change a person's heart?
So
Well, you're
I
not
just
gonna-
flashed. Go ahead, Sherry.
You're not going to change someone like Claire's heart because she doesn't have one. She's not personally invested. She's not personally invested in the community. Her investment in the community is to see it destroyed.
Well,
So-
okay. So so Michael, when you said that, I flashed back to that Jordan Peterson clip from his Exodus seminar where he asks Dennis Prager, "Don't you want him to learn the lesson before he pays the ultimate price?" And Dennis Prager said, "That's such a Christian question."
It's also sort of Batman, right?
It's silly because if you are a reformed Christian, certainly, who believes in double predestination, right? It's not you who's going to change someone's heart. It's the Holy Spirit. And a lot of Christians would agree with that. But that's beside the point.
Jacob,
The point is, you're trying to save the wolf, and I'm trying to save the sheep.
Jacob, I have a question.
Yes.
This has to do with the adversary. So, God made Leviathan, God made Behemoth, right?
Correct.
There is a Satan, there was a snake in the garden, etc.
Correct.
So,
Yes.
okay, so how do you square that with what you're talking about? Because there is a purpose in in adversity and in the adversary, okay?
Yes.
So what are your thoughts on that?
Okay, so I mean, now we're getting to a deeper level of spiritual thing where, yeah, to some extent, I have hopes for even Claire, I have to say, but that's not my first focus, and we have to, in fact, I mean, the Rebbe was very clear. He said, you don't fight darkness with darkness. A little light pushes off much darkness.
Right.
And I would absolutely love if we can, in fact, use light and all the great things, like, if you were listening at the beginning, my suggestions were mostly that people make tight cliques, get to know each other well, and I still believe that, and I think that's incredibly important.
Right.
But we have gotten so much off on that scale of trying to save everyone that it's become impossible for people to actually confront problems in our community.
Okay, but no, let's not get off track with my question. I guess maybe I'll try to phrase it differently. So if you have an adversary as a community, the adversary can either destroy the community, right? Or the community,
make it stronger,
or the community can bind itself together to destroy the adversary, right?
Not even necessarily destroy it, overcome. I mean, so
overcome it.
Yeah, and this is one of the things that I've been saying about why I could ban Claire off my StreamYard. What good would that do?
I think
the next Claire would be coming along.
Yeah, well, you can discern that and then you can decide, but people like her, they would very happily walk someone to the edge of a cliff and then, give them that little shove that they need to go over the edge. I personally think that that kind of tolerance allows for tragedy in the community.
It does. And let's be clear. I have tried as much as possible, but I view Claire as a vaccine, because I do have, unlike most bad actors like her, I have enough information available. I can pull up the picture if I can pull up the picture of her with the assault rifle and the swastika flag, and you know, it's easy to point at Claire and be like, "Hey, come on, bad actor." It's not so easy to point to the other bad actors.
Okay.
Hello, Khezi.
One second, Sherry wanted to finish saying something.
Yeah, I just
Sherry?
wanted to say that if you really care about the flock, then you would make sure that those people who are more vulnerable aren't being put at risk by someone who you may fully understand and feel like you have control over, but who knows what they're doing to the minds of other people. Like,
I am
this is
very worried about that.
okay. So, what are you doing then? I mean, to me, you're playing with fire.
Khezi,
I'll add one note, because then I gotta jump. But Jacob, I'll catch you on the flip about this. We'll talk about this more in length. But sorry. First off, good evening, good morning to everyone. I hope everyone's doing well. I watched the Just Chatting, and I watched Mark's conversation too. I appreciate, and I think everyone here is learning that Jacob, you were, you had your finger on the pulse, specifically with regards to Claire, and generally about this issue of discernment. However, I think at this point you could say, okay, we've quote unquote, exposed Claire, and as like you're saying, that bad actor, which is easy to identify, then I think we could, it's time to say Shabbat Shalom to her. And because you've seen how disruptive she could be, and the pictures are more than enough with regards to that case. And that doesn't mean you have to be nasty, and that doesn't mean if she jumps on people need to be jerks to her. You could always be cordial, you could always be nice, but it's like you said, it's being disruptive. However, and that relates to what Sherry says with regards to what you were saying about how we need to figure out as a community how to deal with this. So I think you highlighting this issue right now made people be more aware. And, there could be a conversation about what kind of protocol that is. But honestly, it needs to be that if people start noticing these things, and you've mentioned that you've deputized, Charlie and Richard, but you could have people online that, and you could see Tyler had this as well, that notice these kind of individuals and they cross-reference. And someone that gets tagged by 8 different people over a few months, then that would be a good indication to then have a conversation with that person. And then if you really feel like they're bad faith, then we could say goodbye. So it doesn't have to mean that someone gets kicked off right away, but people have been put on alert to notice these kind of interactions. And I think there could be a place, whether it's another room on your Discord or not, a place where people tap in some names where they see, I'm noticing that. And I understand that it's difficult to ask someone, just because someone disagrees with you, you don't want to tag them as a bad actor. But someone that is repeatedly going through this pattern, and we could write out a pattern of what people should notice, then those people could be highlighted. But someone that has been identified multiple times over X years, then, what else are we doing with this person?
Yeah, agreed.
And it's hard to pull the plug.
No, it's not a question of how hard it is to pull the plug. It's easy for me to pull that plug. It's a lot harder for me to do what I'm doing.
So I think you did it.
Yeah,
I didn't. No. See,
with her?
This is the problem, Khezi. I am using Claire as a vaccine, trying to get people to understand the problem so that we build up a system, and no, the system you're talking about is precisely how the moderators work on Bridges of Meaning, and it doesn't work.
Then just to clarify, and I guess to put Sherry at ease, your attitude is, listen, Sherry, I want to say goodbye to this person. However, I just don't feel that we have a fail safe or like a safety net yet for this community. And until that happens, we should let these people just sort of be mumbling about, so we see them as, you know, as the bad actors they are, and that keeps keeping people keeps people in check.
My hope is that we will actually have people recognizing that there are bad actors on a regular basis, and this community will have bonds where we're close enough that when these types of relational aggression attacks come against our community, we can actually deal with them with small cliques, and we need to form small cliques. This has been my whole thing. We need to have small groups that are friends, that know each other, and so that we protect each other, and we understand that we are having communities that have to band together.
How is that different?
All right,
than
I
what's happening?
want to jump into this more later, but I gotta go now. But I'll catch you guys all.
Why is it?
Bye.
The
Jacob, how is
Australian
that different than what's happening
contingent
right
is
now?
here.
I'm
So
gonna have to go soon. I'm gonna have to go soon, so I just want to have a last word here because I think this is kind of interesting. You were talking to Michael about being too forgiving and cutting things off, okay? And Moses looking around for a man. And now you're saying that you're gonna let Claire Cause stay. And I'm just like, what's going on here?
okay, so
like, what is that? That sounds very contradictory to me. But
okay,
I'm sure you have some kind of strategy in place.
um,
And just to round off my final word,
yeah,
I'm concerned for those more vulnerable portions of the community here, and the kind of psychological terror
that is
that can be, the havoc that can be wreaked on those people. Okay.
yeah. I am 100% with you on that, which is partially why I would have much rather not. I would have much rather that this conversation were being held within our, like, we had responsible deputies in our, we had a hierarchy, and because there are very clearly, anybody who's been paying attention knows that there are vulnerable community members in this community.
Yes.
And frankly, when it comes emotionally, I'm a lot more vulnerable than a lot of people seem to think.
Oh, I know that, Jacob.
But look, when it comes down to it, we have to have difficult discussions. We have to be able to confront people. We have to actually have hierarchy, and that hierarchy includes elevating some people and de-elevating other people. That's how hierarchy works.
Yeah.
Demoting.
Well, I've got my reservations about that, but I don't have any reservations about blocking Claire Kaw. So I'll just leave it at that.
She is the person I am least worried about. She is the smallest threat to us, I think. That's And I realize people think I'm paranoid. People have for a very long time. When I was warning people about Claire Kaw, people were telling me you were paranoid. Thank God nobody says
I
that
never thought you
anymore.
were-
Well, thank you, Sherry.
And I actually understand a lot of your concerns. And one of the things I do know, Jacob, is that you care a lot. And that's where the emotion comes from for you. It's not any kind of instability. It's actually an overabundance of care.
And Sherry, I don't believe men should cry. I wouldn't be doing this online if I didn't think people needed to see me cry. But unfortunately, that's what they need.
Yeah, I can see that. I'm a crybaby too, so it's all good. You gotta cry, you cry.
Sherry, before you go, and I'm curious about Jacob's thoughts on this too, but it strikes me that concerns about hierarchy, right? It's like, okay, well, as you establish hierarchy or leadership, then you have to create parameters of how that gets established, which effectively create boundaries or something like that, effectively create some kind of dogma, right? And then it's like, what exactly has been created as a result?
Right. And yeah, Sherry, go ahead.
No, no, you go. I was just listening.
So this is why I have always said that if we are going to be a community, it has to be a community that is built around a temple, and we have to have a hierarchy, and God has to be at the top of that hierarchy. And that's partially why I spend so much time attacking the Trinity.
Well, hierarchies are triangular in shape.
Well, yes, they are. And there's a reason why I have been trying so hard to get all of these egalitarian Trinitarians to understand the monarchical Trinity a little bit better.
I'll try not to take offense at you attacking my faith.
I'll try. I'll try not to be too. Yes, Fezzi. Are you speaking, Fezzi? Because we can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Sherry had on Grail Country. She's doing her Imagination series, which I usually get to join on the comments on like the last 10 minutes because it's when I wake up. But either way, she's doing a fantastic job. So thank you, Sherry. But there was a character that joined their live stream, and Sherry accommodated him. Yeah. However, it seemed that the character, it was clear that Sherry wasn't 100% sure with how to engage with this person, and I think that was exacerbated also due to like the Claire brouhaha. And Sherry was mentioning, her fear for the people the more vulnerable people that are not going to be able to, to see that difference. So again, I think what you're talking about is trickling down, right? So on the other hand, I don't want like Sherry to feel, now I'm like blocking this person because I don't want him to be involved. Now your rule, which Sherry, like Jacob has his, cameras on rule, right? Which I clearly right now you're not doing. That's because we know who you are. So there's like a trust element over there. But this guy for the first time coming on, you could have said like, sorry, dude, like, no camera, it's not happening. And that's like a certain sense of security. On the other hand, you don't want to feel like you are, again, not allowing for like a space where people could share. But Jacob, it would need to be more clear than just seeing Claire above. And like you just said, she's clearly now she's writing to me on Discord about the the Israel event, about Seekers of Unity. Like, she wants to know what's going on. But like, the more you leave someone like this on, specifically someone who you claim is, you know, not your average bad actor, but very trained and supported, then like that is, I don't know. I think like
Chazi,
yeah.
if I banned her from my Discord and my StreamYard and my channel, you think she's going to not be doing everything she's been doing for the past 10 years?
No, I don't think that, but I know that if you would ban her, right, which sort of sends a message so to other people, to not have that kind of discourse with that person, and it's a reminder to other people, okay, someone else gets on and starts being extremely disruptive, which, by the way, is, I think, it wasn't very fair of Tyler to, let's say, drop Mark's name and then bounce out after 5 minutes.
Tyler didn't drop Mark's name. That's not what happened. I actually watched that again.
Okay.
Yes.
Maybe I'm wrong. That's what I remember.
Mark made a comment which Tyler mentioned, and maybe Tyler had ulterior motives, but I don't know that, and I've known Tyler for several years. And I have to give him the benefit of the doubt as well.
So, no, I stand corrected. I was listening to it, so I didn't see the comment pop up, so no problem. And secondly, you know, fair enough. My point being is, specifically with someone that quote unquote is in part of the community, it's very important to be particular and careful with like who you're, you know, where you're drawing that line. So
yeah,
I think if people, it's confusing for some people to hear you say no, Claire, but then still have her invited, even though I understand, and I think everyone here in this live stream understands your intention and understands that you're saying, I'm not promoting her. I'm just saying that, like, you know, we need to be careful. But this brings up also Tyler's concern, which is, but PVK mentioned like, oh, she was acting lovely, right? And that for too many people it's too confusing.
And me banning her from my channel doesn't prevent PVK from doing that.
I disagree. I think he says if you do that, I think PVK reads it as if Jacob, who's disagreeable, but created channels for a lot of other people to talk. And, you know, if this character doesn't want her around, then I'm gonna understand why. I'm gonna call Jacob. I'm gonna ask him why he's doing that.
Unfortunately, that's not how PVK functions.
Could be. We're trying to figure this out.
I know PVK a little bit better than you do, Chazi.
No doubt. I'm not claiming I do. I'm just saying how people could be influenced by you. PVK mentioned.
Chazi, I have been yelling from the mountaintops, don't talk to Claire, for years.
Yeah, but this is rather disturbing to me to hear that she's using this community as a stepping stone to Zevi's community now.
Oh yeah. Oh, she does this. She's been doing this for 10 years, Sherry.
I warned him, Sherry. I warned Zevi.
This woman has been omnipresent. She is online more than 24/7 on every platform. She's on Twitter, Discord, YouTube, Twitch. She is not a single human being operating.
No, I'm fully aware. I've been following the whole debacle since it started.
The best guess we have, and I don't think it's a very good guess, is that she actually works for the Chinese Communist Party.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah.
Jacob, if you don't mind me asking for a second, I want to ask Michael and Raj, just because, well, they've been involved for a while, but like their face on the screen is fairly more recent, and I want to ask them, like hearing this conversation, what does this make you think about this community, and like how would you guys go about it?
I mean, I don't know. I'm pretty young. I don't know how to handle most of this stuff. I I'm one of these people who, I'm a junior member in all of the real life communities that I participate in. So I don't have very much insight or even experience to draw from in things that are happening in meat space, as Jacob would put it, to be. I don't have enough experiences with bad actors in this way in real life to make any sort of offer anything very valuable here. I think I'll just put it at.
Have you guys?
I appreciate you trying. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry, Raj. I'm just wondering. I have a quick question here, because this was on my mind today. Have you guys been thinking about the fact that, politically speaking, if she's posing with a Nazi flag, and then she attaches herself to your community, does that give opportunity for your community to be flagged as some kind of neo-Nazi group? What
This is
happened?
why.
What happened? Huh?
This is why she's been threatening to come to Chino and to come to. She's not going to, but she's been talking about coming to Chino and coming to the Israel event.
Yeah, because she can. Yeah, there's I think we've all seen this happening in real time, right? Like these groups of people that get together in good faith, and then they get infiltrated and labeled hate groups and so on.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of potential for that too. So.
I do have some thoughts here, actually, and they're not me steel manning Paul Tarsus. Back in my Occupy Wall Street days.
Ooh, Michael.
We were constantly in this situation. Okay, so I was involved in multiple groups. I got deep in, right. I was involved in multiple cities that had multiple encampments, and there was all this democratized, non-hierarchical, multi-faction coalitions, right? Everything from Ron Paul people to your pronoun warriors to your deep green resistance people, right? And that's always like this multi-faction thing, right? And in a lot of ways, it's sort of like a mirror image of this. And we were constantly dealing with the concern, the very real concern about infiltration from three-letter agencies, right? Which absolutely happened. I had also personally been on the receiving end of that before. It's funny. I don't remember the story very well. I should know my history a little bit better. But I remember once I got out of it, I was brushing up on some Greek history, and my very rough understanding of the timeline of events, which I probably have wrong, but the story will connect anyways, is something like, here you have the collapse of a hierarchical thing that was in this like great benevolent state. Democracy rises from those ashes, and then they have a military leader, right, who is like elected through means of direct democracy, right, and is even successful and a savior. But shortly after is demonized because of the very hierarchical kind of leadership and autonomy, comfortable autonomy and action that he brings to that, and is actually excommunicated, right, and dies dishonorably, outcast from the Greeks. despite having won a battle defending them from, I don't know, I think it was Persia or something. And so one of the temptations that communities like this that are under siege are bound, and part of the tactics being played out here is actually to invoke paranoia, right? But the problem is that there's actually things going on too, and so navigating that is not easy waters, obviously.
There's a Nirvana line. Just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not after you.
Yeah.
Raj
Yeah.
and Michael, do you guys, like, again, seeing all this, like Raj, you mentioned that you didn't know how that this community is exciting, but hearing this kind of conversation and let's say using Claire as like just as an example, does this make you feel any less inclined to be part of this community, or does this make you feel like this is something worth quote unquote fighting for?
It makes me feel that means there is something really positive happening here. Like you don't have people come after something that, if what you're doing isn't good, then there's no need for evil to come after it, right?
That's right.
Yeah, it could be that it's good. It's just not. It's not. You haven't reached. You're not on anyone's radar yet. And as these things grow, so slowly but surely, and as people join, right? So again, I guess I'll end on this note that I appreciate that. That was your take from this. That it's something worth fighting for. Because even spending time having this conversation, you guys are all busy people. You all have lives to do. Sherry has a new grandson, so everyone's busy have their life, and to spend time dealing with this, I thank you. I thank all you guys for putting the time and effort doing this, because it means a lot to all of us. And on that note, I'll leave for real.
Let me just say one thing about showing up on people's radars. So there should be no question to anyone that Joe Rogan is on the radar, obviously. And there is no way of infiltrating Joe Rogan other than the guests on Joe Rogan and the friends of Joe Rogan. And so if Joe Rogan is on your radar, then Jordan Peterson is certainly on your radar. And if Jordan Peterson is on your radar, Jonathan Pajot is certainly on your radar.
Mm-hmm.
Do I have to draw the other lines? Jonathan Pajot is one of the biggest exponents of Eastern Orthodox Christianity in the world.
Somewhere in the distance, I can hear Mark saying Christians are for lions.
Well, they are. They are. At the same time, there's a reason I keep on bringing up what happened on Thursday.
Does that mean we're cat food?
If you look really closely, you can see the shadow of death in her valley. There's like one ear sticking up. Yes,
Okay.
Grim, you get bonus points for him calling you a holy fool. You are in fact our holy fool. We've said this many times. You
Grim,
just need to embrace
I hope
it.
you didn't run off. I hope you didn't run off because I said that some people just need to grow up. I was not talking about you. Okay.
I thought you were talking about me. what?
wasn't that-
Hold on. What was that when I had this banner going? And I have to say, one of the things that I believe is an indicator of a healthy community is laughter.
Yeah, especially when we can laugh at each other in good faith. We should be able to. I used to live in this house full of hippies, and there was, I think, 7 or 8 of us living, and every now and then we'd have, when we were really bored, get super stoned, and then we'd play charades, and the only game we ever played was we had to act out one of the other people in the house, and they had to guess who we were acting out. And it was so much fun because you got to see parts of yourself that you never really knew existed, right? And then you were also able to laugh at yourself, because most
Sure.
of the time it was pretty hilarious.
Sherry, try streaming as much as I do, and then hearing people make fun of your idiosyncrasies.
Yeah, exactly.
I have learned all types of things about my speech patterns that I was not nearly as aware of as I am now.
That exactly. Yeah. And it was, there was something really, like Raj was saying, something very cleansing about the whole process, and everybody felt closer, even though we were pointing out things that might have been embarrassing or whatever, but it was all in good fun, and there was a lot of laughter. So that's the beautiful thing about communities.
Well, if you can realize you're doing a bunch of embarrassing things, but people still love you, it's a good feeling.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So something maybe worth saying, or at least that came to mind for me, was that there's first of all, it's like one of the cures for like paranoid conspiracy theory, right? For me, one way I think of it has been to understand powers and principalities at play, right? And to further add to that is levels of interaction that happen. Okay, so what I'm trying to say with that is, I was in Philadelphia doing this Occupy Wall Street initiative. It was called Bank Sleep, and what we did is we had a handful of people. We were sleeping outside of Wells Fargo, and then like screaming about how they foreclosed on houses and all this stupid CDO thing, whatever.
Hey, I approve.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, right. So we were out there every day for the better part of 3 weeks or something like that. And that was after months of already doing a whole bunch of other stuff. And I was a very active participant. I was just loud, outspoken, tall, had military stuff. That was one of the things that I would do. I'd carry around some of my like Marine Corps stuff with me, because it would, in my head, it helped do 2 things. It helped police second guess whether they were going to engage, and then but it also, especially if they were veterans, could also make them feel comfortable to engage, because there's somebody that they maybe kind of know. They're like, oh, I can see myself there now, right? So it was a two-part thing. Anyway, so I would get identified as like a leader in a leaderless movement, right? And so civil affairs in Philadelphia would directly engage with me. And this was a pattern that would happen to me regularly. And a lot of times these folks, okay, so you have the state coming to you, right? And the people from the state, some of them are just like, some guy usually sits in his office and has boring stuff, and now he's like confronting some weird protesty thing, you know, and he's like, he doesn't really know what it's about, and he's like, what are you guys doing? How do we chill you out? We just want to stop getting calls about it, you know. I'm just trying just trying to go to like Olive Garden with my family, you know, like, and so here's this, you know, benign or relatively benign interaction with the state, right? But, and that's one level, right? But it scales, let's say it scales all the way up to like deeply intentional political actors who have one foot in campaigns and one foot in high level intelligence, right? And so you got that and everything in between. And even the people that are operating at the high level, right? It's often, and obviously, you know, ideological. They're doing what they're doing because it is they've got presuppositions that they bring to the table of how they see reality, right? And they're like, here's the threat that comes with all of this Jordan Peterson disseminating, you know, or this Joe Rogan mind virus, right, or what have you, and so they think that they're doing good, you know. But that those folks are also, you know, and let's say this Claire lady who I don't know anything about really, also strikes me as something like like the people that operate at the highest levels of some of these powers and principalities, they're often spiritually broken people, right? And part of them is so drawn and angry at that thing, kind of like a teenage daughter in rebellion to her father, right? And they're drawn to it like a moth to the flame, because there is also a part of them that is begging for transformation, right? And so I think that Jacob, when you were talking a little bit earlier about the little light that shines and the impact that it has, yeah, man, yeah.
That's
So I'm gonna make a confession. There are times when I talk to Claire, when she has her video on, that I sometimes feel like even if she works for the Chinese community, Communist Party, there's something in her that's still human and could still repent. And I actually think it's important to have. So this is one of the teachings of the Baal Shem Tov. To recognize that when you're fighting something that seems to you completely evil, if you believe in one God, there is nothing that is completely evil. The problem with that is too many people take this teaching to the extreme of thinking, and I'm going to give my famous example. Everybody, Jacob's greatest hits, take out your bingo cards. What do you call a place you take little kids to strap them down, poke needles in them, cut them open, poison them, make them cry? You call it a hospital. And if you don't understand the difference between what is for the good and what is good, you are making a far worse mistake than not realizing that that thing which you see as evil has a kernel of good in it, because it is only a kernel of good, and the rest of it is evil.
I think that's true for, I mean, I'm not trying to be cute, but like my flesh is evil. I'm like, there is no good in me.
No good in you?
Yeah, that's, I mean, any good in me whatsoever. Like I have seen what I am without logos, let's say, right? And I've seen what I am when I'm operating in a communist, Marxist, materialist, rationalist mindset for 15 years, right? Angry at my father.
Yeah, but so somebody asked me a question when I was on one of these Muslim streams. They asked me, is it possible to lose souls and gain souls? Because there is this concept in Judaism of gaining souls and losing them, right? And somebody asked me, well, what happens if you lose that last part of your soul? And I said, you cease to exist.
So I guess the Christian perspective might be something like there's a divine spark that's never extinguished.
That's the Jewish concept as well.
Good.
If you exist, if it exists, there has to be some spark, because God is the ground of being. There is nothing that exists that God does not say exist.
Agreed. And they're gonna the way I would talk about it is something like the adversary only attempts to create, like anti-patterns of rebellion of what clearly does exist, right? It's like it's like bad mimicry. And so inevitably, that whatever that narrative is, whatever that view is, whatever that bad memory, that cheap mimicry is, it falls apart given enough time. It has no choice but to. And then the light shines through.
I'm gonna sign off. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to say good night all.
Good night, Sherry.
I should probably do the same too. Early morning.
Yeah, I've got church in the morning too. I'm not joking. Good night, people. I think I'm going to end the broadcast here.